For the Nagaland Legislative Assembly, la 5th session, the House bra power sector reforms under Rule 50, the Kotakura Homoy Chief Minister Rio Brakushagi, Nagaland, the communitization of electricity management opportunity Savale Lage. Rio Gushi State la Power Department to Hotai Sal rupees 300 crore national revenue loss way. Ijakla Nohigna Department the Manpower Committee Taka, Aro Power Jor Gurahane State revenue loss way. Rio Gushi urbanization huichakaran urban aro rural areas kan the energy chala the iman difference nai huichashe. Rio bra power sector the urgent reforms anigina domestic aro industrial consumers kan ge quality aro uninterrupted power supply dia ensure globally emphasized crucial. Mamla Uberi Minister for Parliamentary Affairs Power our state spokesperson KJ Kenya Kushigi power sector do state economy lagaman backbone. Kenya Kotakura Homoy Bishi reform measures communitization of electricity management model rules like amendment Uberdibi Kotakurishe. Mamla Uber advisor for industries and commerce Hakana Chakalo can say our advisor information technology and communication economic and statistical education Setrongi Ubrabi Kotakurishe. Details Saisamo.
Speaker sir, I would like to make my comments on this very important subject matter. The minister in charge of the Power Department had at length expressed about the reformation of the department, and also the participants had elaborately explained their opinions, also their anxiety of the power department. And I appreciate their participation and their suggestions and contributions to improve the power department in our state for distribution and also for the consumers. Why reform is required? Our reforms, Government of India, our ministry, time to time they give a lot of reforms and also innovations of the department. Still, we have not improved. That is a sad part. And to start with, the department is still incurring annual revenue loss of about 50%, precisely 50.07%, which had been explained to us. And also the deficiencies of the department, shortage of manpower, like metering readers and shortage of O&M staff, lack of reading leads to underbilling. Nearly 50% of the monthly billing are based on minimum average. Communitization of electricity management in villages. On single point metering, as consumer metering is non-existent in all villages based on minimum average bills, plus power theft and pilferages. So, in many areas in our state, we have not come out of our problems. Say example, our census is still in controversy. We had a growth rate of 65 to 70%, whereas the national average is about 20%. Another year census, 2011, was decadal growth of negative. That is, after 10 years, Nagaland population became less. the journalists, writers, they have studied and written about the wonders of our senses. Then we had NLTP issue. Nagaland has total prohibition, but those who drinks, they continue to drink without any hesitation. And after total liquor prohibition, more shops has come up, and there are also spurious, illicit liquor. Another issue is in the national study of BPL and per capita income, Nagaland state is one of the worst because we listed too much below poverty line. We're not honest. You feel that you can get little benefit if you record yourself under below poverty line. So our rating, our state rating is one of the worst. Same thing with power. And therefore, we are one of the highest, as mentioned, worst performing state in power losses and revenue collection. In Delhi, I still occupy my bungalow when I was MP, and the building rent, the bungalow rent is nominal. It's a single digit. But every month I have to pay for power bill, water supply, and maintenance. And I pay more than 1 lakh every month because house guard are there and people managing the house. So our state, I think we have to mend our ways and improve upon not only in power but in many sectors. Therefore, there is an urgent need to revisit the communitization of electricity management. Due to faster urbanization, there is not much difference in lifestyle and usage of energy initiative appliances between urban people and the rural people. In villages, single bulb to the people who are living below poverty line. But today, most of the people in the villages are also using all electrical appliances. And if they don't have electrical appliances, they have solar support. Like how in urban we have generator supports. So it is interesting. If the present trends of increased power demand continuations, the communitized villages will be one of the major contributors for huge accumulated losses to the state in terms of revenue. Sir, the proposed reform measures are much needed in supplying quality and uninterrupted power supply to the domestic and industrial consumers, as explained by Hekani. As pointed by the Minister in charge of the Power Department, desired progress could not be made in the installation of smart meters in Dimapur, the so-called commercial hub, due to resistance from various public NGOs, unions, and chairmen of ward colonies. I would like to highlight that the installation of prepaid meter is now mandatory. As per the central government notification dated 26 to 2021. The biggest challenge now arises for 100% smart metering coverage across the state under the RDSS scheme. Although the state cabinet has approved the RDSS action plan in totality, implementation of smart metering is becoming a challenge to the department due to the resistance by the various CSOs organization. Smart prepaid metering being conditional for release of funds for infrastructure under RDSS. Hence, installation of smart prepaid meters is imperative to avail the much needed central government funds for development of state-powered sector. Fortunately, today, the urban areas, you have the municipality and town councils elected councillors, and now they have taken charge. So the government agencies plus the municipal and town council should go into action in support with the department. The councils are part of the government administration machineries to assist the district administration, police, and the state government department in delivering public services and the implementation of various government schemes. However, opposing or resisting the government program schemes by ward authorities is inappropriate. Therefore, we should take action, or in subordination to the government should be punished. We should have a serious discussion on these government agencies with the ULBs and ward bodies. To start with this reformation, the state cabinet had already decided that urban areas and the surrounding villages which are adjacent, you cannot identify the difference of urban living or village rural living. Same gadgets and needs. In fact, even village areas, there are more better palacious buildings and kingdoms. That's why this compulsory metering should be introduced, or if they don't cooperate, then the connection should be cut. It's not that they don't have money, they have, but they don't want to pay for the service rendered by the government. For the rural areas, we have put on hold about the communitization, and we hope we will be able to handle them and make them understand. I feel in this, as a Christian majority state, we should involve the churches and use the church platform to also disseminate the responsibilities, and whatever given to you, you have to pay for the service. This should be, and in their church members or the colonies, they should have a serious discussion and educate them. The cabinet decision not only about the urban living, but all the elected, the VIPs, from Chief Minister, from governors, to all the senior officers or lower and government servants in the government quarters, they have to pay the power fees. And if they don't pay, particularly politicians, if they don't have the clearance certificate from the power department, when you file your nomination to go for election, you will face disqualification. Or if government officials, servants default, then they will be dealt with according to the law. Because, sir, the power sector is one of the major defaulting department in revenue generation. As everybody has stated, it contributes to the growth of the state economy and function as a commercial organization department of the state for delivering electricity as an essential public service. It is important to help this department to recoup its operating cost expenditure from its consumers to ensure stable, quality, affordable power supply, so as to leverage all-round economic growth and infrastructure developmental activities. Here, I also appeal to the power department, the quality service to the consumers, particularly the events or VVIP visit functions or in the hotels where tourists and outside guests come. Those visiting places, they not only use one generator, but stand by a generator also, side by side. And they have to give auto transfer. With everything, service providers, it costs more and more. So even if you pay minimum bill, the supporting, because the unreliability of the power supply, there is unnecessary and extra expenditure. Therefore, I hope as government is supporting, we also appeal to the public to comply and support the department so that they will also give quality power supply to the consumers. I hope in today's discussion, the message will go to the people and the functionaries, government agencies should all come in support of the power department to see that what you need and what you use, you have to pay. So I hope the people will change their ways to be more cooperative and honest to one another, so that the reform proposals will bring change for the betterment of our society. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, sir, thank you so much for admitting this matter of urgent public importance. The Nagaland Communitization of Public Institutions and Services Act 2002 was enacted, and ever since then, the government of Nagaland, placing our hopes and trust in the people of Nagaland, has been trying to execute this new act by mobilizing the people's, the rural, especially the rural people, participation in this program. It was a new concept conceived by the department and the bureaucracy at that time, having faith in the honesty and the integrity of our people. Nowhere in the country such a program was initiated. And after having enacted this act in 2002, the state had received a lot of appreciation from the neighboring states and also the center. It took off with much fanfare and with so much dream, envisioning a community partnership with the state in such an important sector of our society. But unfortunately, over a period of more than 2 decades, today we are in a position where I must say that the government has been let down by the people and have not lived up to the initial trust that we reposed in them. There has been no reciprocation from the people that the government and the department has taken such a great step, risking the failure of the state's economy at that time. And over the years, with more enlightenment in the society, the department was hoping that the attitudes would change and that the people would cooperate and be a faithful and loyal partner in trying to achieve the desired goal to portray our people's integrity to the world. Unfortunately, it is a story of failure which has caused immense financial hardship on the state's exchequer, and so much so that a resource-crunched state like ours cannot help it but to review and reconsider this act, bringing it to the forum like this, seeking the people's and the honorable members' views on this. In a nutshell, sir, allow me to cite the reasons why it has come to this stage. One reason which stands out as to why we have outsourced the duties of our department at the grassroots level was the shortage of manpower resources, right from the beginning. Shortage of meter readers was one. We have only 305 numbers of meter readers existing against a bare requirement of 691 to cover the total consumers of 3.17 lakhs. Then we also face an acute shortage of operation and maintenance staff. That is only 3,808 number existing against a requirement of 6,186 numbers as per the norms of operation and maintenance. So this leads to prolonged restoration of faults and is a symptom of the lack of operation and maintenance staff. We have not even a single labor or Jugali staff in 650 villages in our state as of today. This is the shortage we have. Then, while trying to collect revenues, because of this communitization policy, we have a single point metering system installed in all the villages. Unfortunately, due to erroneous bills, tampering of meters, it starts to give erroneous readings digitally. So the department is compelled to make a fixed bill on an average with a minimum of about 50% of the total, 50% of the 100% which has been consumed against the bills of those villages. So it always goes by this. It is on an average and minimal basis. So the question of reading the meters does not arise anymore. Here, single point metering without meters and consumers are built on the basis of useful points, as consumer metering is non-existent in all villages. Then we have another problem. A glaring problem is power theft. By way of direct hooking, bypassing the meters, meter tampering again, that leads us to unaccounted revenue losses and damages the machineries like transformers. Transformers are installed according to a certain number of capacities that they can withhold. But when we have direct hookers, then we have excess consumers causing the transformers to break down with overload. From the total state energy consumption of 804.57 million units this year, the rural villages consume nearly 25%, that is 201.40 million units of electricity. With proper single point metering and consumers, the department should be billing rupees 112.64 crores approximately, whereas the total billed units in 1,408 villages is only 58 million units. Due to deficiencies in single point metering and minimum household billing, the single point metering billing was only rupees 30 crores, incurring a commercial loss to the tune of 82.50 crores annually. Out of the 1,408 communitized villages, 16 villages are having high degree of urbanization and overlapping of high tension and low tension lines of villages and in towns. Households are built on use food points methodology or minimum. As per norms, all consumers should be metered and billed according to the units consumed. Generally, most of the village electricity management boards are weak as they function directly under the authority of the village councils. In many VEM, BS, misappropriation of revenue funds have been detected by the department. This is one of the key factors why the village electricity boards are not performing, thereby revenue loss suffers, revenue collection suffers. In many larger villages, there is not much distinction in lifestyle and usage of energy-intensive appliances in comparison with urban areas. If the present trend of increased power demand and consumption continues on a year-to-year basis, the rural sector will be one critical area responsible for huge accumulated losses to the state in terms of revenue. With single-point metering billing system existing in all the villages under the Communitization Act, it would not be possible to implement the smart metering system under the RDSS as two different systems of billing cannot exist. Here, as the service provider, government with all government service sectors, the citizens tend to consider it as a welfare-oriented policy while we provide them electricity. Post-communitization revenue collection from the SPM villages has become static, not commensurate to the quantum of annual energy consumption. Villages are still paying minimum irrespective of whether meters exist or not, as they refuse to pay beyond monthly minimum average. During the initial conceptualization of the single-point metering under communitization, billing to the consumers was formulated on a useful point methodology, as billing to the consumers was formulated as energy meters were mostly non-existent, non-functional, and would require more than 1 lakh meters to be replaced, entailing huge financial implications. As an interim measure, till meters are replaced, the useful point was adopted for the purpose of consumer billing by the village electricity boards. Speaker, sir, we have stiff resistance to the installation of smart meterings from none other but the Gamburas unions, the wards, the colony councils in urban and suburban areas. Dimapur, with the largest concentration of population and electricity consumers, 73,000, 1,000, is one area attributing nearly 35% of the state's energy consumption and causing 50% loss of revenue on account of poor billing and metering reading deficiencies. During 2021-22, an amount of rupees 10 crores was allocated by the state government under the special assistance to state for CAPEX 10,000 smart prepaid meters in Dimapur. Implementation was initiated during 22-23, but up to date, only 4,889 numbers of smart meters would be installed in Dimapur due to resistance from various public NGOs, GBs unions, and chairmen of wards and colonies To expedite closure of the scheme, the 10,000 smart meters were reallocated to different parts of the state, like Kohima, Dimapur, and Chumukidima. So out of the total of 10,000 smart meters, commissioned are only 8,149, and nearly 2,000 remains uncommissioned and uninstalled till date. Prior to the smart meters under the IPDS scheme, the department installed and commissioned 19,000 standalone prepaid meters, 10,000 in Dimapur town, 9,000 in Kohima under very difficult circumstances and challenges as stated above. Installation of prepaid meters is now mandatory as per the central government notification number 23/05/2020, Part 1, Government of India, Ministry of Power, dated the 26th of February 21. The biggest challenge now arises for the 100% smart metering coverage across the state under the RDSS scheme, which is mandatory. Although the state cabinet has approved the RDSS action plan in totality, implementing it under the present challenging circumstances would not be viable. The smart prepaid metering being conditional for release of funds for infrastructure under the RDSS, hence installation of smart prepaid meters is imperative to avail the much needed central government funds for the development of the state's power sector. The Gambaras, German wards, colonies, and village councils are part of the government and district administration machinery. To assist the district administration, police and state government departments in delivering public services and the implementation of various government schemes. However, opposing or resisting a government program scheme by ward authorities is highly inappropriate, particularly for the GBs. Hence, the government may act on the following steps. Therefore, we have suggestions that the following policy changes and the frameworks be changed to enable smart metering in all urban and rural areas as per the regulation of the Government of India as mandated under the Electricity Act 2003 and amendments thereof. We recommend the repeal in totality the communitization of electricity management in urban areas and the model rules and the additional condition of supply for Urban Electricity Board UEMB 2004. We propose that amendments be made to the Nagaland communitization of electricity management in villages by Village Council's Rules 2002. To the amendment of Rule number 7, the Nagaland communitization of electricity management in villages. Number 7, metering and billing. 7, subclause 1, 7, subclause 2, 7, subclause 3, and 7, subclause 4. And also, amendments be made to Chapter 2 in Rule number 4, subclause A, subclause 2A, subclause 2B, then amendments in Rule 7 of Chapter 3, and the insertion of Rule 12, Part 4, after Rule 11 of Part 4. We have enclosed a snapshot, sir, of the latest financial losses which we have lost in this financial year, the last financial year, 2023-24. Cost of the total power purchase was 772.26 crores. And with all the other maintenance expenses, it comes to 764.28 crores. That is a gross purchase from the grid at our own mega generation, which comes to about 1,004.35 crores. Here, we have, after recovery, the revenue gaps with regards to the power purchase stands at 328.7, which comparatively in the last 3 years is the lowest, but it is still very high because the total AT and C losses accumulates to more than 50.78% altogether, which is very high. In conclusion, sir, the power sector is one of the main backbones of the state's economy and functions as a commercial organization and department of the state for delivering electricity as an essential public service. Whereas, unlike other service sectors such as medical, education, health engineering, etc., it is paramount to recoup its operating costs and expenditure from its consumers to ensure a stable and quality affordable electricity and energy security so as to leverage all-round socio-economic growth and infrastructure developmental activities. Hence, as a matter of public importance, the proposed reforms measures are hereby tabled before the House for sensitization and awareness of the members of the House and the public at large and the civil societies. The proposed changes and amendments in the communitization of electricity management, model rules, and review the roles of GBs, Ward, Colony, Council to usher in a positive growth in the state. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Speaker, sir, thank you for giving me the time to take part in the discussion on matter of urgent public importance under Rule 50 pertaining to power sector reforms by reviewing communitization of electricity management in urban and rural area under the Nagaland Communitization of Public Institution and Services Act 2002, Act number 2 of 2002, Sensitization and Awareness thereof. Speaker, sir, this is a very technical subject, but of great interest to me because I have been assigned to assist the Honorable Chief Minister on affairs of industries and commerce in the state. Industry and power is totally interconnected, and I always say there is no industry if there is no power. I would like to start with mentioning few facts and figures. Our Honorable Minister Power has already mentioned in detail, but just to put my sharing in perspective, I would like to start with some facts and figures. In the year, and I would like to beg apology if I'm repeating, but I feel this is important to mention. In the year, financial year 2023-24, power purchase, the cost of power purchase was 572.26. The total revenue was rupees 244.19, thereby incurring a loss of rupees 328.7 28.07 crores. Now, when you look at the past 4 financial year, from 2021, 21-22, 22-23, 23-24, we can see that the cost of power purchase was for rupees 2,036.70 crore. Total revenue collected was rupees 824.47 crores for 4 years, thereby in 4 years incurring a loss of rupees 1,212.23 crore. The AT&T loss for 23-24 is 50.76%, and for the last 4 financial year is 55.11%. This number is very important for all of us to understand why power reform is necessary. Coming to communitization, I would also again like to repeat some numbers and figures which our Honorable Minister had mentioned. In 2023-24, out of 804.57 MU, so in electricity terms, because many of us here are laymen, so in electricity term, that is called million unit. Rural villages consumed about approximately 201 MU of electricity, which is about 25% of the energy consumed of the entire state. With single point metering, now for the communitization, the department uses single point metering. So this is for the communitization. With single point metering, the department would bill only 58 MU. So in actual, the department should have billed rupees 112.64 crores approximately, whereas due to minimum household billing and various issues of single point metering like defects or tempering the SPM billing was only 30.1 crore, incurring a loss to the tune of rupees 82.54 crores in 1 year, last year. When you look at the national level AT&C losses, in 2020-21, the AT&T loss was 22.3%, and it's come down to 16.4% in 21-22. That's an average, national average AT&C losses. Whereas in Nagaland, I've already read out, it is 50.76. We have heard from other honorable members. In Nagaland, as part of the power sector reform process, the Department of Power launched the communitization program in 2003 for decentralization of electricity management through community empowerment. The objectives of the initiatives were to improve service delivery, to reduce technical and commercial losses in the rural areas, to involve village community to work as business partners with the Department of Power in the management and improvement of electricity revenue, to entrust the responsibility to Village Electricity Management Board to check theft of power in the villages, to address short-term shortage of energy meters and manpower. Now, studies done by various agencies over the past 2 decades have found that, 1, after communitization, non-payment and arrears from rural consumers were reduced as the Village Electricity Management Board are directly responsible for such collections. 2, it had become much more convenient for rural consumers to avail new service connections. 3, however, there has not been any perceptible improvement in power supply. 4, Many villages are paying a fixed amount for years, ignoring the increase in consumption. And number 5, revenue collected by VEMBs have often been misappropriated. And there are many other reasons as well. I want to come back to another data. As per 2024 data from the Department of Power, Dimapur and Kohima division have the least percentage of single point metering points. Dimapur has 3%, Kohima has 17%. But when we look at Dimapur, the AT&C losses stands at approximately 55%. Kohima AT&C losses is 46.96 approximately. If you look at PEC and Zineboto, which has the highest percentage of SPM metering, PEC has 66% of SPM metering and Zineboto has 59% of SPM metering. But if you look at the AT&C losses, you will see that even under this, the losses for PEC is 55.07 and for Zineboto is 69.89 respectively. This comparative study clearly indicates that communitization has not improved the revenue collection in the state. And this is where I want to bring in a very, very simple logic for all consumers to understand why reforms are important, especially, again, from my perspective, from the perspective of industry. And this, when I say consumers, is not just the public, it involves all the 60 honorable members and other, whoever is sitting here this evening inside the Assembly Hall. Today, it's a known fact that we are all concerned about the livelihood and employment of our children and our youth. We all agree that our economy has to improve. Now, our economy will improve only if our enterprises and our industries flourish, which in turn will generate employment and absorb our unemployed youth. This our people have to understand. Our Honorable Minister has talked about a lot of resistance, and I have also personally come across many communities in the village, in the rural areas, and also urban areas who are resistant to certain changes that the department is trying to bring about. Our people have to understand that by refusing to pay few hundred rupees for the power that you're consuming, that is addressing to the rural people, and maybe some few thousands, if you're refusing to pay that few thousands for the power that you're consuming, that is addressed to the urban consumers, it is indirectly affecting the future of your children and their livelihood and their gainful employment. Now, obviously, when the government is undergoing such a huge loss, it does not have enough fund to be investing or to be purchasing more power. That's what I believe, especially after I've come back, especially after I've joined the government and I'm seeing the other side of life. I want to pick up two examples. I know of a tea factory in Newland district. Every month, that factory purchases diesel for about 30 lakh rupees. I know of small self-help group in Chumugitima area where the self-help group are trying to do banana extraction fiber. They have to buy a generator, and the little profit that they project to make is gone towards buying diesel for that little generator to help them with the machine. I was also speaking with some honorable members from the eastern side. They have they run different factories, and I'm told that they also buy up to 1,000 liters of diesel per day. And under these circumstances, it is just impossible for industries or economy to flourish. Now, if we have enough energy, if energy sector is developed, the state can support efforts for the sustained development of various enterprises. 2, once there is increased availability of reliable power, then mechanization of farming activity will take place, which in turn will lead to improvement in harvesting, storage and processing of agricultural produce, thus generating employment. 3, adequate power supply can support micro, small, medium enterprises to develop and thrive. Number 4, our state is pushing and promoting made in Nagaland products, which can be successful if only our entrepreneurs and enterprises are supported with adequate and uninterrupted power supply. Today, the biggest employment is generated through technology and IT sector, which our youth, Naga youth, are also good at. But how can we expect them to make money for themselves and for the state if we are not putting the ecosystem in place? With the power boost that our enterprises receive, it will automatically improve the employment scenario as a natural progression. With advancement in technology, we now have options of adopting interventions such as prepaid meters and smart meters in homes, transformers and substations, which can effectively address the challenges of manpower shortages, inaccurate billing and revenue collection, while providing accurate real-time information to the department to provide better power supply, better load management and better response to faults in the system. It is a fact that many states that have improved their A, T and C losses due to various policy interventions and reforms. I would like to mention our neighboring state, Manipur. With due respect, they are going through a difficult time now, but Manipur was one of the first states in the Northeast that started adopting reforms in the power sector. In 2013, Manipur's power sector, there was a transformation of the sector by 2014. They had under the Electricity Act of 2003, many reforms were made by the Manipur government, and by 2014, they had Manipur State Power Company Limited for transmission and Manipur State Distribution Company Limited for distribution. Their prepaid metering started by 2011. And today, Manipur's AT and C losses is only 23.62. And I bring back to our figure, ours is 50.7. As long as the government is a service provider, the public are going to think that this is a welfare scheme. And so the government should not be averse or be resistant to reforms. Our Honorable Power Minister has mentioned about some reforms that the department has taken in 2013. The prepaid metering started, the pilot project started in Dimapur in 2013, where about 1,000 meters were installed, followed by about 19,000 meters under IPDS scheme in 2017 and 18 for smart metering, and now the mandatory RDSS scheme. And I'm made to believe that the department is struggling because of the resistance of our people, headed by the Gambudas, the wards, the councils, etc. It is human nature for people to resist change, and that should be nothing very shocking for our Department of Power. People are prone. It is natural that we resist change and we fear change. And here, though it is little out of context, just to again bring home the point, we all know in the past many decades, our people were resistant to change. Our people could not believe that women can be in the decision-making body. But things changed in 23. 2 women were elected. After a year, the ULB elections were conducted with 33% reservation. Out of 278 members, 102 were women councillors, which is more than the national target of 33%. And these women were supported by men, by their brothers, by their husbands, by their fathers. So if something as serious as this, people adapt. Once they adapt, it becomes easier. Now I want to also assure the department that all the 60 members here are also duty bound to our constituents. In whatever way you want us, we'll be more than happy to also sensitize our constituents. The government has to do what the government has to do. But after deep study, after doing a deep analysis, after doing your sensitization program, because all this is for the people and for the common good. Thank you very much, Speaker Sir.
Thank you, Speaker Sir, for allowing me to participate in a discussion on the matter of urgent public importance under Rule 50, issue pertaining to power sector reforms by reviewing the communitization of electricity management in urban and rural areas under the Nagaland Communitization of Public Institutions and Services Act 2002. Act number 2 of 2002, sensitization and awareness thereof. Speaker Sir, the Act provided for the empowerment of the community and the delegation of powers and function of the state government to the local authorities by way of participation of the community in matters connected with the management of local public utilities, public services, and the activities of the state government connected with education, water supply, roads, power, and other welfare and development schemes. Thus, through this Act, the Department of Power transferred the responsibility of the electricity management in the villages to the village councils. Under this process, the villagers will have the discretion to fix power tariff within their respective villages. The difference of amount between what is payable to the department and what is realized as electricity charges from the consumers can be retained by the villagers in order to facilitate this. A single point metering and billing system was being put in place. Unfortunately, Speaker Sir, there is a general perception that it is the obligation of the government to provide free or otherwise subsidized power tariffs, and in many cases it is simply stolen. Speaker Sir, all the honorable members present in the August House should know that the Power Department, unlike any other government establishments, is a revenue-earning department. The electrical energy which is supplied to the consumers is to be sold like any other essential commodity available in the market, and the department is to realize the cost from every consumer. It should be realized that it is not free, either for the government or for the consumers. Speaker Sir, it must be explained here that the government has to buy the power to provide to the consumers. But as stated by our Honorable Minister of Power, Sir K.J. Kine, with the communitization of electricity in Nagaland, about 90% of the villages covered under the Act are being billed at an average monthly charges. And in some cases, even the monthly bare minimum charges rather than as per the actual consumption. And about 10% are being billed as per the actual consumption or meter reading. Speaker Sir, It may be noted that in some villages with high degree of urbanization, such as Naga United or New Shoba or Old Shoba, to name a few, where there is a mixed consumers of both domestic as well as commercial and industrial category, are being built on minimum charges under the umbrella of this communitization. Whereas the consumption of electricity in those areas, villages are at par with urban towns like Dimapur and Kohima. This will for sure contribute to the revenue loss to a great extent. In view of the above, repealing of the communitization of electricity, at least in those villages with high degree of urbanization, is deemed to be economically viable to the state. And also, Speaker Sir, the 100% metering, as our Honorable Minister has already highlighted, in compliance with the direction of Ministry of Power, Government of India for successful implementation of Government of India flagship scheme, RDSS, revamped distribution sector scheme, which will not be possible as long as a single point metering billing system is existing in the villages, because two type of billing cannot be, is not possible. So therefore, Speaker Sir, I would like to humbly suggest for the review of the communitization of electricity management in rural and urban areas under this Act. Thank you.
Emporium Nagaland is India's leading aviation, hospitality and cruise line training institute with 100% job placement assistance in India and abroad. We provide customized workshops for various organizations and internship program for college students. We aim to empower educated unemployed youths with global opportunities.